Good evening, Teach Better family. This is Brad Hughes from the Teach Better team with another opportunity to spotlight one of our featured speakers for Teach Better 22, a chance to get to know someone new, exciting, dynamic, and full of value in the education space. It's Dr. Michele Schmidt Moore, who is both a featured speaker and a podcaster, bringing her show on the road to us in Akron, Ohio in October 14th and 15th. We're looking forward to connecting with Dr. Moore right after this. Stay tuned. We'll catch you after the break.
So right now, I want to know if you're ready to teach better.
That's the whole mission of this weekend.
Just being here ready to learn and grow and come together like this is awesome.
What are those small changes that can make you better tomorrow than you were today?
All the amazing speakers we have here. Wow.
So we have a ton of people here who are published authors, who are writing about education.
Let's get out there and teach better.
That's what it's all about, everyone, is coming together to learn to teach and educate and serve our students better and better each day. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Michele Schmidt Moore to our audience and introduce you, Dr. Moore, as a featured speaker and a podcaster on Podcasters Row. Delighted to connect with you tonight. How are you?
I'm doing really wonderful. It's really beautiful outside. I'm in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where it's still very warm. We're in the mid 80s. So it's been really a lovely day. And I'm so excited to be here with you today, Brad, because we're going to talk about, Teach Better. We're going to talk about the conference. I'm super excited to come.
We sure are. For those who haven't met you yet, Dr. Moore, can you tell us a little bit about your role, where you live and work? And if you wish, tell us a little bit about your family and just really what lights you up.
Yeah, well, I love that. What lights me up, because that's always seems to be what I really focus on. But I've had so many different roles in education. I've had the really opportunity to work in the central office and be a district administrator there. I've had the opportunity to open a new school as an assistant principal. Of course, I've served as a coach and a teacher. And right now, I've actually I haven't retired, but my husband retired. And we moved to the beach. And it's something that I really always wanted to do. And so I'm doing reading intervention with some young middle schoolers, and I absolutely love it. It's like solving puzzles, but also building relationships. And I love it. It's wonderful.
Would you say that reading intervention is or has become one of your favorite roles in your career?
This is actually new. Well, it's not really new to me because I used to supervise English and language arts and secondary reading. Right. I do love seeing students really light up when it all clicks for them. I love to see them be able to choose books that they love, that they're interested in, and also obviously the writing piece, right? So to be able to communicate about what you love, what interests you, what really brings you joy. I would say the things that really lights me up has to do really with professional development for educators. Instructional design is like my love language. And I really enjoy designing experiences for educators that they're excited to be with. A lot of times professional development gets a bad rap. And I think it's really about designing experiences for adults as well that provide choice, that just provide like focus, that something that they're really, really interested in. And so really, like when I think about my session, it's actually really not about professional development, but it is about personal development and individually developing yourself professionally. And so that's what we're going to be working on when we come into my session a little bit.
Now, Dr. Moore, without giving too much away, could you expand just a little bit, give us a little taste or tease of that angle of personal development and how that ties into improving outcomes for kids by teaching better?
Yeah, so the session's called Project You, Design a Life Made for You. And so, as I said, instructional design is my jam. So I very much bring in those principles of design thinking and those principles behind project-based learning to really looking at your life and really looking at we talk about Teach Better, right? How do I make my days just a little bit better each day? So if you think about design thinking, it was a process that was designed actually for product design, and designed to be really human-centered and really listening to what people want, what we need as humans. And so if we turn that around and we look at that from a standpoint of personal and professional development, that really is about listening to ourselves. What do we really need? What's really important to us? So I kind of turned it on its head, gave it a new acronym called LEADER. And that first step is about listening. So in our session, we're going to take either a personal or a professional challenge that you're having right now. And we are going to come up with solutions for that challenge. We're going to use this design thinking process, listening, having empathy, accessing our ideas, designing our solutions, and really then starting that experimental phase. So I like to think of it as kind of like your designer's mindset. But it's more than just a mindset. It's about taking action. And that's what we're going to be doing. So don't worry if you don't have a challenge. We're going to come up with what's important to you in the session.
Dr. Moore, I can't think of an educator that isn't reflecting, even right now, about challenges that they are working through in terms of their working life, in terms of the learning goals and outcomes that they want for the students that they serve, their communication with families, but also their own personal development to maintain their vibrancy as whole and complete people, both within and outside of education. Would you be willing to tell us a little bit about what lights your fire outside of the world of education? What helps you become and stay a well-rounded person?
Well, I mean, perfectly honestly, it really is using that leader process, right?
Yeah.
Really, truly continuing listening. I know a simple process, and I know people talk about gratitude all the time, but honestly, it is part of my everyday. I list 3 things that I am grateful for every morning because it already starts my morning in that kind of mindset. Obviously, you can guess I love to read. So one thing I challenge myself to do is to read something new each week that's not necessarily something that I agree with.
Wow.
And so these little tiny challenges that you can give to yourself will help improve your life each day, just a little bit more.
Dr. Moore, is there any part of the leader mindset and the leader approach that really galvanizes that commitment to the learner's mindset, the learning stance, or that growth mindset?
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you said that about growth mindset because that's what design thinking is all about, right? It's about reflection and refinement. So, you're going to be listening, right? We have a few different strategies we're going to try out to listen to figure those things out. You're going to have a little empathy for yourself or empathy for the stakeholders that are involved in the problem that you're trying to solve. You're going to be accessing those ideas, designing a solution, but then comes the experiment part, right? Life in itself is an experiment. So you go out there and you try something, right? And you see how it goes. And the R is for reflection. So that's definitely this idea of growth mindset. Life as you go, like I said, life is an experiment. You're trying out new things. Some things work really great and you keep those things and some things don't work so great. So you need to tweak them. And so that whole process we're going to do within the microcosm of our session. We're going to be able to pick one small thing that we're going to make incrementally better for this session. And the great thing about this is, and this is kind of how I feel about professional development in general, is we're going to try this for ourselves, right? We're going to use a problem that's near and dear to us. This same process can be used with your kids, right? The same process can be used to our students, and we can teach them how to kind of self-regulate for themselves, how to slow down and pause, how to listen, figure out what's important, and then generate like all different perspectives and all different ideas to how to solve a problem. So there's lots of applications beyond yourself, but we're going to start with us, right? We're going to start with you and solve those challenges that we face each day.
Dr. Moore, today is the International Day of Peace. And as I was greeting the students in my elementary school on our morning announcements, I was reminding them that peace in our community begins with peace in ourselves. And the connection I'm making, I'm going around the building to come back to the connection, but the connection I'm making is that joy in teaching begins with finding or rediscovering our own joy for what we do and why we do it. It sounds to me like this jam-packed session is going to help to rekindle or to reaffirm what really makes us joyful as educators.
Absolutely, because that's the first step, really listening, what is important to you? And then how can we amplify that?
That joy is something that you can't fake. That joy is something that is both noticed, and it's something we talked about self-regulation. Our students will co-regulate with us when we are joyful. That joy is contagious. It's physiologically and intellectually and emotionally contagious.
Yeah.
Are there aspects of your current role or about your role maybe as a podcaster that continue to feed your creative passions?
Yes, I love that what you said about creativity, Brad, because I feel like being a creative person, and creativity is not just art or music or, those things can be involved, but I think the act of creating something. And it's my podcast is called Design Lessons. And each week we really kind of look like, how can we boost our creativity? How can we make life just a little bit easier? How can we like take a different perspective? And so I try to leave each week with either some sort of strategy that you can take with you, that you can actually try in your life the next thing, something that you can experiment with. So yes, the podcast for me has become such a joy because it's also connected me with other people. It's one of the reasons I'm excited about the conference, to be able to see people in real life. But the great thing about the podcast is being able to talk to other people about their lives, what's bringing them joy, and getting those perspectives as well. And then we look at, okay, what are some of the lessons that we can learn? What are some of the lessons that we can share with each other? And that's what I love about the session too, is because we're all going to come with our challenges, but we're all going to help each other with our challenges, or we're going to, really support each other. And so I don't know. Yeah, the podcast Design Lessons is definitely a point of creativity for me.
So, Dr. Moore, you're going to be contributing to Teach Better 22, October 14th and 15th in Akron, both as a featured speaker and as a featured podcaster on Podcasters Row. What else do you hope to, in addition, what else do you hope that you, as an educator and as a servant of people and kids, what do you hope that you're taking away from the conference?
Yeah, I always try to go with conferences with that same idea. And for me, it really is about connecting with other people. I am very much looking forward to obviously meeting my other podcaster, because clearly they share that as one of their joyful points. But also really just talking to all the other speakers, all the other attendees, really wanting to connect, find out, like I said, what brings them joy? What are they really passionate about? Like when I think about designing a life that's made for you, it's often about figuring out, like, what are you really truly passionate about? What is your passion project that you want to bring into the world? And so I'm really hoping to be able just to connect with the people, find out what their passion projects are, and find out, just meet them, get to know them. We're in person, for heaven's sake. It's going to be so great to be able to touch people. I'm also looking forward. I don't know, like there's this morning run I hear that's happening at 5 a.m. on Saturday. I love to run. So I'm thinking I might get up a little early and go out for that run. I think that's going to be great.
I hope you have the opportunity to do that. And I want to let you know that I'll be grabbing an extra cup of coffee or a bagel on your behalf while you're out running at 5 a.m. And I know that many of our Teach Better family and our Teach Better team members are passionate about running, and they know that routine, that sense of accomplishment, but also that physical outlet, especially if you can come together with people when you're running together with people. It's not just the act, it's the community that's built. And boy, you are absolutely a community builder, Dr. Moore. I'm so excited to connect with you tonight. I'm going to be very excited to connect with you in person at the conference and on Podcast Row. I wonder, for those who would love to get to know you even better as they approach the conference, let us know how we can learn more about you and your work, or how we can stay connected on social media.
Oh, absolutely. So my website is my name. So if you see it right there, it's michelleschmidtmoore.com. So that'll tell you a little bit more about me. All of my socials are M and then my last name all smushed together, Schmidt Moore. And of course, listen to the podcast. It's Design Lessons. I know there's lots of discount codes out there. If you listen to Design Lessons, you'll find one. So take one of that and go ahead and use it to come to the conference. I'm excited to connect with people in person, but if you want to connect with me on social, I would love that as well. Let's get to know each other before we even get there, so that we can give each other a big hug when we meet.
Absolutely delighted to connect with you both as a guest, a featured speaker, a podcaster. But wow, you're an incredible educator whose heart is absolutely aligned with connection and service. Dr. Michele Schmidt Moore, it'll be a delight to meet you in person. And I encourage everyone to check out Design Lessons on the Teach Better Podcast Network and to get to know Dr. Michele Schmidt Moore. Talk about value added. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you, Dr. Moore, for taking time in our featured spotlight tonight.
Oh, thanks so much, Brad. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Seriously.
Likewise. And remember, everyone, it's teachbetterconference.com for all the details. The time to register is now. It's coming up soon, October 14th and 15th. Check out all the details, and you have an opportunity to visit and meet and hug Dr. Michele Schmidt Moore. Dr. Moore, have a great night, and thanks for your time tonight.
You too. Thank you.